Hello everyone, this is Luigi, and welcome back to Let's Play Legend of Zelda Majora's Mask. This cycle I'll be heading to Snowhead and beating Snowhead. And wow, it hurts not to have the Goron mask. I'm so used to equipping that instead of the bunny hood to get everywhere quickly from my practice running, but... Okay, actually I did have one reason to do that, to equip arrows, which I'll eventually need, and this is the worst possible exit to leave out of, but at some point I'm going to need to do something along the lines of this, and hopefully get some arrows. Well, that was lucky, the first thing I got. I could play the inverted Song of Time, but it doesn't really matter since I'm actually, like, doing a ridiculously small amount of stuff in this cycle, because in my practice cycle I decided I should basically blind run the entire Snowhead Temple, and because I was basically trying to 100% it on my first try, which technically shouldn't be possible without the hook shot, but I'll get into that later, it didn't work so well, and it took me too long to get the gilded sword which I was trying to get, and none of this is gonna make... Oh, that finally it worked after I canceled, but that might not make sense to you if you haven't played this game before, but it doesn't really matter. I'll be done with it, or what? I'll be getting to that soon enough. But I would still like rupees, actually. I sort of forgot about that. Also, these big dodongos are pretty easy to kill once you have the bow, since if you're skilled you can get them stuck in a loop of that, and I mean, they're really not all that hard with the sword either, once you have enough hearts to not die, and when you occasionally have terrible reflexes like me, but the arrows do twice as much damage as the Kokiri sword, I believe. Maybe... No, I'm pretty sure it's twice as much, but these guys take 12 hits with the Kokiri sword, or 6 arrows, or 6 jump attacks, or 6 hits with the gilded sword, or 6 Goron punches, or, I only sort of know most of these numbers. And they don't matter anyway, but anyway, yes, I do need to grind, because there's one expensive thing I'll be buying in this part, even though I'm not getting the gilded sword. If I had more arrows, I would try to, get this guy stuck in his... Yeah, if you can... I think the jump attack's a little too slow, but... Okay, well that worked. Yeah, it's a lot easier to do that when you're not in danger of taking damage when you pale at that. Oh well, it's not like there's any small amount of recovery items in Termina Field, and I probably should have just gotten more arrows from these patches of grass, but oh well, I'm doing a decent job at spending entirely too long in here, considering I really have absolutely no business here, considering there's like a big old part coming up with random walking in an area that has like absolutely nothing, which is odd for this game, although maybe it has like a heart piece somewhere, I don't know. A lot of the heart pieces, actually there are none in the southern swamp left as far as I know, which is interesting, but there are a couple, or yeah, I think a couple heart pieces here that you need the Zora to get, which, I mean, if you're watching this blind, you really should go emulate this, because it's a extremely good game, but eventually you get a Zora transformation for those of you who, I mean, I sort of doubt anyone's like watching this and doesn't at least have brief knowledge of the basic aspects of this game. Oh, only half this first segment or so, and I'm already entering the next area, and for some reason the Termina Field music still plays in here. I don't know if it plays in all the other entrances, but I thought it was a bit weird. Now you're in snowy Snowland. Actually, this game was initially going to be released for the 64 disc drive, and it was supposedly going to be like twice as long as Ocarina of Time. I don't even think that would be I mean, that's just sort of reaching too long. I think they actually did a great job with the time constraints for this. They made it short and lovable and stuff. I mean, a game with this much content and like 8 major areas even would just be a little too much, although I don't know, Ocarina of Time sort of managed with not very many, but sort of hard to tell which is bigger, and this commentary isn't very interesting. But anyway, now we have snowy type music, sort of eerie music. There's a lot of stuff here, but I don't think any of it pertains to me yet, and since I decided it would be a good idea not to play the inverted Song of Time, I should be scooting along. And apparently in this run I didn't buy the Snowhead map yet. That'll come in handy later when I need 200 rupees. And by need I mean would be slightly... No, I mean it's 100% run, but it's like the most worthless item in the game. Considering you can't even keep... I mean, arrows you could use in large numbers since they're like super great weapons and stuff, and they're used to solve every puzzle. But what I am saving up for is the biggest bomb bag, which really doesn't come in handy because you hardly ever have to use bombs, and 20 is plenty. And Tingle introduces yourself each time you talk to him at the start of the cycle, which makes sense, but also I don't know, I wouldn't have been offended if Tingle was just inexplicably, okay, able to surpass time. But anyway, let me see, did I get Romani Ranch? Yep, that's kind of an important one because I freak out too much even though there's, I don't know, I'm getting ahead of myself. I should probably just be quiet for times. Instead I can say compelling commentary, like I don't like Wolfos very much, they're ugly. And they have really sporadic hit points. I know one jump attack kills them, but I don't know if that's actually based on their hit points or if it's like a special weakness because they seem to take more than 2 hits normally. Anyway, Capricious Gobbles is over here, and like lets itself be known that he's a time warping guy, like I presume the Happy Mask guy, unless he just knew that he was going to say the same thing to Link each time. And what? There are no holes here, no dumb heart pieces. Ooh, we meet again. Yeah, that sort of ends any question that he isn't the same one, and so he is somehow avoiding time resets. Yep, he's saying basically the frappy Snowland will become more like a crappy snowman, if you will, if you don't help it. So you have to not be daunted by appearances, and like your spirit of thinking it's a good idea to jump onto invisible platforms will carry out, and then Termina will be less fatalistic, and the greatest of fairies will take pity on them. Or I don't even know what the plot of this game is supposed to be. And by that I mean I spent the last couple days looking at articles based on fan theories that made me like the game too much for it being too interesting. Anyway, rely on your feeling. That's a good idea in real life, right? Anyway, this is a nice little area. It's pointlessly rocky here. There's something making Skulltula noises, but I don't see any Skulltulas. Da-na-na-na, you got the lens of truth, you see it. I don't know why they haven't brought this back in any other games, actually. It's an interesting enough tactic. good skippable item. Okay, that is a real chest. For some reason I thought it might have been invisible. Oh, there's a fake, or a, not fake, invisible one over there. Anyway, there's a ghost spider, which is scary just because it's a spider, because the spiders have too much good in this game. Luckily, bombs also have too much good in this game. That was not the Lens of Truth button. C-stick is not a very precise button. Red ruby. Luckily, for your bomby efforts, you get a slightly better reward. And man, this thing uses magic ridiculously slowly. I mean, seriously, look at that. I've had, I guess, some of the time was cutscenes and other of the time was collecting magic bottles, but that's aside the point. That couldn't possibly affect my magic meter.